Mangle is a character that was always awkwardly just there. But I think I found a purpose for her, and that's what today's theory is gonna be about. Because I think Mangle solves a big problem within the sister location time placement. Also wanted to mention that I'm gonna try to focus on quantity over quality since I take forever to upload, but yet once in a while I'll pull up with a really good script and a really well edited video to keep the grind. First we gotta talk about Mangle's first appearance, but not in the actual games, talking about in the FNaF canonical timeline. The first time we see Mangle is in FNaF 4, where the crying child goes to this little girl's room and we see a broken Mangle on the floor. This was always really odd to me considering how early FNaF 4 happens in the FNaF timeline, and then you also gotta think about the resemblance One-Time Foxy has with Mangle. This is where my theory comes in. I believe the Fun Times got created right after the death of Charlie. Now let me explain. So here's the big issue. In order for the Fun Times to be created, William Afton must have had a purpose, a reason to create the Fun Times, and he wouldn't have this reason unless something would have happened, something that would have made him create robots made for capturing children. And I think this is what happened. First of all, we had the death of the crying child. William Afton felt incredibly bad after his own son got his younger son killed thanks to a little foolish prank. He later goes to the bar full of anger and agony, gets super drunk, gets kicked out, and later that same night he goes on to see Charlie right outside the pizzeria all by herself. So that's when he decides to go stabby mode and, well, bite Charlie. Once Charlie possesses the puppet, William Afton notices the crying little lines that the puppet has. He gets curious and maybe thinks since Charlie's body was right next to the puppet, maybe it had some weird connection, so he decides to make robots that were meant to capture children. And that right there, that will be his purpose, trying to investigate a little bit more till the incident happened. And that's the brief timeline about how I think everything went down. Now going back to the Mangle theory, earlier I pointed out the similarities between Mangle and Funtime Foxy. Both have a really similar design, but for some reason Mangle seems to be an unfinished product, something that was never done. And another really important similarity is that both characters have dual or split personalities. Mangle has that little head, and then Foxy just, thanks to the character encyclopedia and other sources, we know that he also has a dual personality. That's already a lot of similarities right there. So I believe Mangle was actually the original product. She was actually the first Funtime to be created, then later on scrapped it. I believe William Afton had already planned to make the Funtimes, but thanks to all the incidents, he kind of changed his mind, threw away Mangle, and created what we know now as the more modern Funtime. And to back this up even more, we have the emails from FNaF AR, which say that the Funtimes are some of the first animatronics built by William Afton. This allows us to place sister location early into the timeline, which means the Funtimes should have gotten created even earlier, just like I'm saying. So that's what I got so far. First, Fredbear's family diner is where everything literally started. Later on in one of the parties, this happens. And for obvious reasons, the events of FNaF 4 must have been after the crying child's death. So then we could put death of the crying child and then FNaF 4. Then we have Charlie's death by the hands of William Afton. And after seeing the teardrops from the puppet, that was his motive and reason to create the Funtimes, which allows us to put the creation of the Funtimes after Charlie's death, and after that, the death of Elizabeth Afton. And I also wanted to mention that William Afton creating the Funtimes before the first MCI makes a lot of sense in legal terms. If he would have made them after, it would have been pretty suspicious that a suspect of the missing children's incident making animatronics that have claws that rip out from the waist to capture things the size of children. Yeah, that wouldn't really make a lot of sense. So then William Afton decides to pull off the I'll do it myself and goes stabby stabby mode again. And this causes the first missing children incident in 1985. Then William Afton does it again and causes the DCI, Death Children's Incident, in 1987 in the FNaF 2 location. Thanks to what we know from the game, we know that the missing children's incident wasn't the closing of FNaF 2, it was actually the bite of 87. And we know that either William Afton or Michael Afton were working there for the first 5 nights, and then the last 2 nights was probably the victim of the bite of 87. Now, I incline a little bit more towards FNAF's sister location being after FNAF 2. Now, let me explain. For this to make sense, we gotta find a really important part of the story, which is William Afton's death. I believe he dies after the events of FNAF 2, before the events of FNAF 1. Mainly because we see him go back to the pizzeria and dismantle what appears to be the withered animatronics. And it would make sense for FNAF's location to be after FNAF 2, since William Afton at this point had already injected the fun times with the remnant or the metal of the OG animatronics. Then the events of sister location happens, he gets scooped, and then later goes to the FNAF 1 restaurant. I believe the fact that the slip says fired for odor and tampering with the animatronics is probably because Michael was trying to find answers to the disappearance of his dad. Then he was probably messing with the weather animatronics, which had dead children inside of them for like 2 years now, and that's why he got fired. He tampered with the animatronics and he was literally messing around with suits that had kids that were dead for years inside of them. He then sees that they're opening a new FNAF location, which is FNAF 1, and goes to the security guard one more time, since he was looking for answers. In this case, I do believe he actually got fired for odor, because he was literally a rotting corpse walking around. And I just want to take a second to appreciate how crazy, not even appreciate, bro, to hate on how crazy this lore thing is. Like, you have a dude that's walking without organs and it's purple and he still gets a job, and yeah, it's complicated, man. The only other problem with this is the Molten MCI theory, but I actually believe Molten Freddy probably got the fun times before FNAF 6. He probably picked them up in scrap metal, since we know he gained a lot of mass from being this to being that. So we can throw that out the window. Now, this is future me speaking, guys. With all the FNAF news that came out recently, I had to delay this video a little bit more. But this actually was pretty good, since Help Wanted 2 is going to be released, and it's probably going to be focused around sister location based on what we saw from the trailer. And I'm going to go more in depth about the retcon Scott made, but I'm going to talk about that in a different video. And well, I think I did the purpose of the video, which is to find time placement for sister location. And I could go more in depth about every single little small detail, but I try to avoid that. If y'all know my channel, you know I like to be simplistic about the stuff, not overcomplicated. But anyways, thank y'all so much for watching. I also want to give a little shout out to this dude right here. He made a really good theory, and I might make a video about that in the future. But that was really good, and I actually like that comment a lot. Anyways, guys, expect a new video in 1 or 2 weeks, and well, peace out.